today, first, good morning. Very happy to welcome actress and filmmaker and also singer, producer, Tane McClure. Hello, Tane. How are you? Thank you.
Hi,
Thank
how
you
are
very
you?
much. Thank you very much for joining the live. Very happy to talk to you. Been a long time since I've been watching your films and your music as well. Uh, I didn't know until I started to research your biography that you come from a very big artistic family. So I want to know how was it to grow up in this family with your father, mother, and everybody.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't know much different. The only
Uh-huh.
thing that I thought was kind of interesting later in life was that, you know, being in the entertainment industry and being around actors, and I would visit my dad on the set of The Virginian, and it was just all normal to me, you know? I mean, I didn't think there was anything unusual about it. I mean, sometimes when I tell people the stories about when I was growing up, my dad makes me sound rather spoiled, but it's true. My dad, I had a horse, and my horse was boarded at the back lots of Universal Studios, and I used to ride my horse all around the sets and whatnot, the Western towns and things like that at Universal. So that's a little unusual, but I appreciated it. I was very appreciative.
Hmm. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
No, that was basically it. You know that my grandmother
Yeah.
was a singer, so there was always music going on in my house. My mom ended up singing as well, and then, like I say, my dad being an actor was just what we did. Like, I'm also very into horses. So people that follow me or know, and that's because my dad is a true horseman. He was a cowboy. My light keeps flickering on and off. I don't know if you see that, but yeah. So I grew up with horses, and just you just follow the path that you are born into, I suppose.
Yeah. When did you first I want to know you how did your father work impacted you into becoming an artist? How did you see your father behind the scenes as well and in front of the camera? I mean, his commitment, because I see I've been growing up seeing his movies and television series as well, caught on him in the 70s and 80s. And he's been working between film and television, in every kind of films. And I remember I saw one of his film when I was 7 years old, Warlords of Atlantis.
Oh yeah.
I saw that in the cinema. I remember very well. But so tell me about him, about how he approached his craft.
Well, he was acting from when he was in high school, and he used to always like to say that he won the acting award in his high school. So he's been involved with acting since he was young, and he was very dedicated. A lot of it came, I want to say, almost really naturally to him because he had a really good natural way about him, and definitely dedicated. Took his craft very, very seriously. Enjoyed those movies, by the way, the Edgar Rice Burroughs movies that you mentioned. Um, he enjoyed those quite a bit. Funny enough, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm going to be a presenter at the Tarzana International Film Festival this year, which is awards dinner is October 1st in the Tarzana Sherman Oaks area. But anyways, they're doing like an Edgar Rice Burroughs Legacy Award, and I'm excited about that
Yes.
because part of the reason I think I got invited was because my dad was in At the Earth's Core and all those different Edgar Rice Burroughs movies. But no, my dad was just a film buff and loved his craft, loved what he did, and I learned from him, in many ways. So I don't know if that answers your question quite, but
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
What I want to ask you, you started basically as a singer, and I think you did modeling as well. A lot of your photos has yourself being a model. And but I want to ask you, because you started very young, you did this cameo in one of the Virginia's episodes. And I think you've been exposed in Hollywood 60s, 70s, 80s. In your own word, how did you see the industry change and evolve? Being a young and upcoming artist during these past periods.
Well, that's a good question. Okay, oddly enough, when I was really, really young, I didn't really think I wanted to be an actor.
Yes.
Only because it looked like it was a lot of hard work. My dad was actually pretty famous, especially when I was really young, because he was on the series The Virginian. And I remember like wanting I wanted him to take me to Disneyland. And he said to me, he
Yes.
says, honey, I can't take you to Disneyland. I mean, just because it was going to be too uncomfortable. There's like too many people around. So there was that reason why I didn't want to. And then the other reason why is a lot of the actresses, especially back then, they actually used to say this. And sometimes I questioned why I said it, but my dad would say, why do you want to be an actress? And I said, well, the actresses that I see, they look sad.
Yes.
I don't mean like sad is there something wrong with them, but they didn't look always very happy. And I think from my perspective growing up, it was hard to be a woman and an actress. There was a lot of pressure. There's pressure in any job, but I think I saw that. And when I first started, it was kind of a natural transition to be a model, but I had been taking singing lessons for a long time. So my focus was probably a little bit more being a singer. And I think I wanted to have my own identity. I was working mostly as being a singer. And then I got a record deal. I signed with RCA Records, and I don't know if there's a picture up there, but yeah, so that was kind of my focus for a while. To be honest, being a woman in the entertainment industry, it is tough, and it was tougher 20 years
Yes.
ago, 30 years ago. I mean, I don't want to age myself, but I'm gonna. I mean, it was
Yes.
hard to be taken seriously as an actress. I usually, even though I was a lead in the movie, often I would find out my typical story. The male counterpart would be getting paid more than me. A lot of times, I was like, "What?" So but the industry, I think, is actually really improving, and I'm for women, and that makes me really happy. I
Yes.
mean, gosh, I first set my sights on wanting to be a producer. Again, I'm aging myself. It was before my daughter was born. My daughter's going to be 25 in September. I had, oh gosh, it must have been like 27 years ago that I decided that I wanted to be a producer. And it wasn't particularly well received by my other producer male friends, I almost felt like, the only way I would do it is if I could do it myself, and so I've had to try to stand up on my own and be the best that I could be, amidst all the challenges. You have to kind of know what you're doing. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to produce. Oh, I'm going to direct. You really do need to know what you're doing. And I am grateful for this long journey that I've had
Of course.
from being a model and a singer and an actress. I studied a lot as an actress. I
Yes.
studied quite a bit, and I think that's important. And then when I set my sights on being a producer, writer, director, I studied as well. And, so I'm lucky and fortunate because now the fruits of my labor are coming to fruition. So I'm really pleased with
Yes.
that.
I want to ask you why I started to read about your album, and I've seen it got a very good reviews, and you sign up with RCA. RCA, I think, was the biggest at the time, and a lot of critics compared you to Pat Benatar. I love Pat Benatar, by the way. In the 80s, people used to listen to Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, but I used to love Pat Benatar as well. But I want to ask you why you didn't do a follow-up album after, the positive reception of the debut album.
Another really great question. That's a complicated answer. Okay. It wasn't that I didn't want to do another album. It was basically, bluntly, I got dropped off of RCA Records, and it was really hurtful.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The backstory on it, which is kind of a bummer, is that the guy that was head of publicity and promotions for RCA Records wanted to. He was the Me Too thing. He knocked on my door at like 3 a.m. wanting to come in, and I basically told him off on where to put it. And right then and there, right after that, I was told by some really heavy duty people in the industry that was, I'm going to say it because he passed away now. He's a really good friend of mine, Joe Mansfield from RCA Records. Well, after I got dropped, he admitted to me that one of the reasons what happened is all of the money that was meant to go for my publicity and my promotion of my album. Once I turned that guy down, it shifted and he promoted another band. And what ended up happening is on sales versus how much they spent, they felt that they shouldn't. And I was a really good worker. I mean, it was never anything like personalities or anything like that. I got along with everybody. And then they just decided to let me go. And it was really sad because then when I tried to get another record deal, sometime I did get other record deals, but there's a stigma of, well, she didn't really make it. And then I really took it to heart and thought, well, I must not be that good. And the funny thing is, over the years, I learned much later in life that I was better than I thought I was. And we did record 3 songs for the Terminator soundtrack. Some of you are familiar with that. You Got Me Burning was quite a successful, almost a cult hit over the years because it was in the movie. Here's the funny thing about that. That was really one of the only songs I wrote. I wrote more, but that ended up being on any recordings that I did with, I wrote it with the band, but I was a main writer on that. And it did gain some success. Many years later. So I'm hearing the song recorded by all these different people and things like that. And not to sound bratty or snarky, but all of a sudden I'm like, wow, they're having a really hard time singing my song. Wow. Wow. Well, they missed that note. Woo. And then I'm totally humble. Don't get me wrong, like thinking I'm all that. It's more like I didn't think I was very good. And then to find out that my song was difficult to sing and people couldn't do it as well as I did. And then I was like, why was I so hard on myself? I was quick to get like, what's the word? Hurt feelings and thinking, well, I'm just not very good and just forget it and everything like that. But I ended up, over the years doing musicals and singing for different productions and things like that. So singing had remained part of my life. And now, even though I don't really sing anymore, music is so much part of the way I think. So, for example, the movie Seance Games, that's the website up there. It just runs the trailer. It was very easy for me to do the sound mix and sound design for the music because I grew up. Writing music and editing music and things like that. So every journey that you've gone through has a reason, and and you can utilize it to a good way. And that's what I'm trying to do now. Now that I'm older.
Yes.
But so I would have done another album. Let me just tell you.
Yes, but I want to ask you. You did, a series of erotic thrillers, and at the time I think they were very popular on cable and on VHS, I imagine, and they were very popular as well in Europe,
Yes.
because in Egypt where I grew up, used to receive European satellite, and they every weekend they used to put one of your films. Or but I want to ask you, did you feel at that time when you did this series of film, you were typecasted at the time?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Let me tell you how the whole thing kind of started. Bizarrely, before all that had happened, I was actually approached by I can't remember her name right now, but she represented a Playboy, and they wanted me to be a centerfold, and I didn't want to because I wanted to be taken seriously as an actress. So at that time, Sharon Stone was really, really big. She had done like Basic Instinct and what's the other one? I can't think of
She
it.
did, yes, Total Recall and Sliver as well.
Right, and then but Basic Instinct in particular was considered
yes, boomed in
because the nudity and things like that. So everybody was sort of pushing the envelope, and
yes.
Andrew Stevens, if you guys are familiar with him, and
Of
he's a
course.
filmmaker and an actor, nice guy. And he was looking for the next. Shannon Tweed was also she was in the centerfold, and she was also doing some movies with it, erotic.
Hmm.
And they
Yeah.
were looking for the next Shannon Tweed, and it was kind of
Yeah.
going all around, Hollywood. It's going to get the next Shannon Tweed, and I was like, I can do that. So I chose to go in that direction, thinking that it would be kind of like how Sharon Stone, and everything like that. And then what ended up happening instead, well, I mean, obviously I'm grateful because I did some movies that I really liked that happened to have some nudity, but I actually really liked them. Like, I really liked Women Scorn 2, who may have seen that or not. A couple other movies
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
thought were really cool. And I love playing the bad. I love
Yes.
playing the
Yes.
murderer and all that.
Yes.
That was really fun. But the B movie version of
Yeah.
the Fatal Attractions, I'm sorry, well, there too, Basic
Re-
Instinct and all that kind of stuff. The movie versions had a minute budget, so
Yes.
often not all of the cast were as studied or dedicated, and then little by little, which is what I didn't like, the movies that were Beaver movie versions of Fatal Attractions, I'm sorry, yeah, Basic Instinct, all that, they started kind of getting more raunchy and less about story and less about, just being a kind of a sexy thriller. And
Yes.
I started to be very unhappy with the direction that
Mhm.
my career was going. And I started going, no, I don't want to do this. This is
Mhm.
not at all what I intended. But in the meantime, I was lucky because I did get some other movies that were pretty interesting and cool. Obviously, later, Legally Blonde, and I don't know, that's same kind of character in Go, but I played a very sexy character in Go, but I was in that. And then, gosh, a bunch of other movies. Some of you might remember me in the Toby Keith music video, You Shouldn't Kiss Me Like
Mhm.
This. So it all works out, but I had decided that enough was enough, and I didn't want to be so pigeonholed into that. Um, Somebody's asking me a question. I
Yes.
want to
Yes.
ask, like, do you have a favorite music artist? Ooh, that's favorite music artist. Okay, I really like Pink a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
I really like her. Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. I'm almost like caught off guard. No, I like a lot of artists. I really like a lot of different types of music, and I actually really like country music too. Speaking of
Country.
back
Yes.
to my recording artist time, I had a record deal offered to me back then, was Atlantic Records, RCA, and CBS Columbia Records. I didn't
Yes.
go with CBS because my husband at the time was in Journey, and I didn't want people
Yes.
to think I got the record deal because of him, because I didn't. I actually had the offers from Atlantic and RCA before he was even in Journey. People don't realize
Hmm.
that. He had just joined, and my career was brewing the whole time. Anyways, what's my point? Oh, Atlantic Records said that they wanted to develop me more like as a rock country artist,
Hmm.
and I should have done that. That's all I say. I should have done it. I think it would have been a good direction. I think Atlantic Records would have wanted to support my career and kind of stick it out. It would have been nice. So that's it. Anybody else got any questions? That was fun.
You spoke of Andrew Stevens, and I remember he did a very good film with Kirk Douglas, and was directed by Brian De Palma. It was shot in Israel, and then he did the Night Eyes series, if you remember, as a actor, then
Yeah.
a director. These were I think, very good quality if we speak about this genre. And I think as well, yourself, Shannon Tweed and Shannon Weir,
Yeah.
and Sherilyn Fenn were the
Yes.
most famous doing the movies. And I want to speak as well of Zalman King, because I think he did some quality direction, when he did Ritual Diaries and a series of film. I think he was one of the best directors who, contributed to these erotic thriller genres, you know, post Basic
Yeah.
Instinct and Sliver and Fatal Attraction. But I want to ask you, it's a question that we must ask. You said after doing a series, you felt you're being repeating yourself or used, etc. And but I want to ask you, filming these lovely scenes were challenging for you as well?
Are you talking about love scenes?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, no, they were. Yeah, I wasn't really. I mean, it's not really. People do ask me this a lot. It's not really sexy. I mean, people think it is, but it's not. It's you don't really know the person, and there's no real sex going on, so it's an illusion, and it's just acting. So it's not necessarily fun. But I mean, I got kind of used to it, but in real life, I'm actually not. I'm kind of shy, so it's kind of weird. But yeah, it is. It's just like it's just for the C movies that I did, anyways. Because it is just an illusion. It's very similar to when you're playing a part where you actually kill somebody and you're stabbing somebody, or you're firing a gun, or you're punching them. These
Mhm.
scenes are set up to look really passionate when they're not necessarily in real
Yes,
life. And think about it this way: it's like it feels like you're in the freaking observatory because there's usually at least a small crew around you, because they usually close the set, so they don't want it to be really embarrassing. So we close the set, so there's only me or very important people there, and yeah, but there's people around and they're moving lights, and it's not, yeah, it's just
yes.
acting.
I want to ask you, among your filmography, you did work with Klaus Kinski, correct?
Yeah.
So, I've seen a lot of documentaries, of course. His daughter, Nastasia
Natasha.
Kinski, was married to an Egyptian businessman, and they used to come together to Cairo Festival. But regarding Klaus Kinski, I read a lot and watch a lot of documentaries of behind the scenes of films he shot in Europe, in the States, in Latin America, and I know he was very tough, especially with women actresses. Tell me about your experience with him.
Well, he I got a story. Okay, no, that movie was actually my first full-length feature as a young actress. And we shot that at the Dino De Laurentiis studios in Italy. So it was quite a fun experience. But Klaus had it for me. So one of the first days that he was there on the set, he was definitely beelining me towards me and kept wanting to sit next to me and everything like that. And he was a bit of a troublemaker for the director. He was always kind of causing something going on.
Of course, of course.
And then every single day I would notice that, or not every single day, but every other day or whatever, my dressing room would be moved. Like in Dino De Laurentiis studios, they had like these dressing rooms, like almost like a hotel kind of, but not really. But like, so there's room to room to room, and all of a sudden I would be a little closer to his big suite, right? A little closer, a little closer, and it'd be like, I was talking to, I think, the second AD, and I'm like, what's going on here? And he goes, oh, I don't know. And then I found out that Klaus Kinski was trying to get my dressing room closer to his. And then apparently he refused to come to work unless I was on set. So the director at the time, very nervously and apologetically, asked me if I would stay on set one day even though I was done filming, because otherwise Klaus would leave. And as I was very young actress, I was like, oh, okay. Now I probably would have said, sorry, no. But nothing ever happened. I mean,
Uh-huh.
he didn't like attack me or anything like that. It was just more
No,
very,
no.
very uncomfortable. I was like,
Yeah. But he was intense in front of the camera,
oh
and
my
I,
gosh.
I
Oh
also
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes,
Good
you
actor,
know,
no doubt, but apparently a
very,
little,
very good actor filming, of course,
yeah, he's
Yeah, yeah.
a little odd apparently.
uh, you know, Tani, I want to ask you about when did you feel that you want to venture into filmmaking as well? I know artists like yourself, I mean, working on many films, music, you learn a lot about filmmaking. I mean, writing, camera works, I mean, everything technical, editing, of course, music, everything related to filmmaking, to the seven art. But when did you feel you want to venture as well as a producer, director, writer?
Well, back, I think it was like 1994, 3, something like that. My dad was really trying to produce, and he wanted to produce a movie in a Western. He ended up getting producer's credit on something, but he wanted to like open, actually, even before that, when I was younger, he had started a production company called Tawny Productions, named after me, which is very sweet. And he wanted to, start his own production company. And unfortunately, my father passed away in 1995, cancer. And after he passed, I don't know, somehow his own goal kind of became mine. And I started a production company. Originally, the first one was called Trampus Films. A lot of people like Tramp. I'm like, no, that was my dad's character, Trampus, in The Virginian, and the series that he was on. So I named it after him. And I produced and starred in a movie called Trance, and starred opposite Martin Kove from The Karate Kid and Bruce Abbott. And so when I produced that movie, it long story short, the movie turned out good, and everybody, it's a thriller, it's a thing. But we went over budget because that's a lack of experience and things like that. And I didn't direct it, but to the point that we could complete the film, but we couldn't. There was no post-production budget anymore. We were toast. So I ended up getting the film distributed by JL Media, and they came up with the money to finish it in post. So thankfully, the film was done. But at that point, I was feeling like, if I'm going to produce something, if I'm going to write something and I'm going to produce it, and I want to be able to finish it. So I made at the time, I think now, kind of crazy decision that I'm going to become a film editor.
Great.
When I think back on it now, well, I'm a legit film editor now. So, I mean, I'm an editor. I've been an editor for years, but at the time it was rather comical because I thought, oh, just be an editor. It was so hard. I remember at the time, that's sort of aging myself again, but I was working on Final Cut, and we had these, there was some educational videos online, but not like there is now. So the Final Cut came with this giant, like back in the old days, telephone book size manual. And I remember my daughter was just born, and I remember going everywhere. Like she would go to like this or that or whatever. I'd take her to this. Well, she was a little older than just born, but we would take her to this little things when she was a baby. And I'd sit in the corner reading my Final Cut, manual. And I would literally cry because I'm like, what was I thinking? How am I going to learn how to do this? But, eventually I started to get the gist of it, and I'd be working on the editing and things like that. And then my creativity would start to sink in. And because I'm an actress and I can feel the scene, that became a lot easier and tell stories. To cut the scene, I would cut kind of like with my heart and how I felt and rhythm and beat. And then the music would come together because of my music background. So at the end of the day, I became actually a pretty good editor. So, but, I think it was just sheer crazy determination. So that's where I'm at. And that's how come I was able to produce and direct. Well, Seance Games is the first feature film that I've actually directed, but I have feature film length. I have directed a ton of other content, short films, commercials, music videos, corporate documentary style things. And then I worked a lot for Carlos Mescua is a reporter and anchor, I should say, and producer. And we worked together on a whole bunch of doc style shows for local news and syndication, one being Love Betty White, the Betty White story, and Just Call Me Half, the Hugh Hefner story, and many other projects. And plus I work for a bunch of other TV shows and news shows and things like that. So that was, as a producer, director, and editor, I have literally, gosh, produced, directed, and edited literal hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of finished content. So even though I hear I'm this model, actress, singer, whatever, in the background of people weren't realizing I was working diligently as a professional editor. So, you know, as time progressed, I started feeling like, you know, I love working for other people and producing or working with them to finish, edit, whatever, their content. And it's terrific. But in the back of my mind, I had these ideas of things that I wanted to do for myself and my goals, which was to eventually to direct a whole full-length feature film. And because of my really good friend, Nisha Katran, who's a singer, and that's a whole story, because we met eons ago in a band. We were in a band called Under Wraps, all-girl band. But she and I have been friends this whole time. And I had directed a bunch of music videos for her because she stuck with music and I kind of meandered out. So we did a whole bunch of projects, and we did a short film called Voyager 2150 that literally just tore up the film festival circuit. I was so grateful. It's a very artsy kind of a film. It won like 37 awards, like did really, really well. And then she and her husband, Sylvester Bowen, we got to talking and we started thinking, you know, they wanted to produce a film, and maybe a Western, maybe a horror film. I said, are you serious? And so, you know, we came up with the idea. I was working with another girlfriend of mine, Type Caravelli, who's a terrific screenwriter and actress too. She had written the script called Metaxu, which is about a ghostly couple in this hotel. And I wanted to update it. So together, she and I created Seance Games Metaxu, which is about 4 young social media stars that play a game, an online game called Metaxu. And the goal of the game is the team, they create teams that gets the most follows, likes, and all that during their live stream at a haunted house or place doing a seance can win up to $300,000 each. So they, of course, find a very, very scary, supposed haunted old hotel. They break in there and discover, when they do the seance, that the place is actually for real haunted with deadly consequences. And it's a really cool movie. And my young actors, and I'm, you know, this is like pitching back there. My young actors did such a good job. Andrew James Ferguson, Olivia Deligan, Madison Taylor, Stephen, that's his cast name, Bernard Timmons II, and Farrell Christina Lawson. Those are my 5 actually young main actors in the movie. They did a stellar job. And then I play the ghost, which is based on my girlfriend's original story. If you guys are following me, Metaxu. I play the ghost of the redhead woman because my hair is red in the movie, not blonde. And Eric Roberts is the demon of the house. So it's really cool because our characters come from like the 1930s and 1940s. And then there's another character played by Nisha Katran, who's like a hippie from like the 60s. And so the movie has this feeling of all these different eras coming together, and then all hell literally does break loose. So, and then Sylvester plays a gas station attendant who's very kind of quirky and fun. So yeah, it's a really cool movie.
We have a question.
I see a question.
Yes.
Oh, it's Farrell. Okay, all right. That's Farrell, who I was just talking about. Farrell Christina Lawson.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So she did a really, really, really good job. She plays a ghost, and I don't want to tell you too much because you need to see the movie.
Okay.
But I will tell you that to answer her question, you know, to the young aspiring actress.
Yes.
I get asked this a lot, and I think the answer first and foremost is, like, they'll say, how do I break in the industry? How do I break in? Actually, yes, be in a town where acting is prevalent. Don't try to be an actress. I mean, you can if you want to do plays and things like that. But if you want to really, really get in the industry, if you're in Los Angeles, of course you're gonna have to get a job some other than acting because it's really not very profitable for quite a while. But take your acting classes,
Yes.
acting classes, because a lot of things can happen with that. One, you're going to learn the craft, and I'm sorry, it's a craft. It's a job. It is not something you just do. There's so much involved to pull those characters out. So you have to take your classes. And that will
Mm-hmm.
get you in groups of people that will help you to go in the right direction usually. So you'll be around other actors that are communicating, go to plays, go to this, and then start doing, there's workshops, there's actors
Mm-hmm.
scene study, and then sometimes the casting directors come in. So that's how you're going to break in. So am I using up
Another
all my
question.
time? Oh,
No.
here's another question. With great, Nikki Fritz. I loved her. A really good friend. I loved her a lot. Nikki's a sweetheart. Nikki was a sweetheart. Nikki Fritz, beautiful. We worked together on Go together, and it was just great because she's a really nice person. We also worked on a series too. Yeah, I can't. A really good girl. Just a nice person, like a bestie. I think I was closest with her and Monique Parent. Are my two favorites from that era, and I'm really proud of Monique Parent. She's doing a lot of great things. Gosh, I want somebody to ask me another question now. No more questions.
Yes, me. I want
It's
to ask
you.
you. They are. Yes, I want to ask you. Did you consider writing your own biography in a book? Because I think it will inspire a lot of people, and you have many stories to tell as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Maybe. Uh, I do have I guess, an interesting story to tell, I suppose, but I guess I'm a little too, I guess my story's not done, I hope. I kind of feel that it's weird because I feel like it's taken me a long time to get where I am right now, which is just so exciting to be about to our premiere. We have a world premiere of Seance Games April 30th. It's sold out, so it's really mostly going to be our casting crew and some of our supposed distributors. But it is very exciting because it's like, wow, we have multiple offers on the film, and so many that we're like, oh, as distribution, that we're kind of slowing down, going, oh wait, where is this film going to go? And hopefully to a good distributor that wants to see this little film. And it's a little film. It's not a huge giant budget movie. Do the best that it can, and hopefully I can do more movies. I'd really like to produce and direct more films. I think I'm pretty good at it
Of course.
actually. So I really like to do that. But and then later, then I will write a book. Say about working with Toby Keith. He shouldn't kiss me like this. Okay, Toby's awesome. Toby is awesome. Good guy. I went. My husband and I went to like the Academy of Country Music Awards that year because the film was. I'm sorry, the music video was nominated. And then we went to go see Toby in concert. He's just a good guy, really great guy, and the music video was fun to do. Okay, so there's a little inside story. So I got cast to be Miss Toby Keith music video, and at the time, I had done so many films with nudity,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking to myself, do they know who they cast? It's like I got the part, and I'm like, yay! I'm gonna get fired when they figure out who I am. So we were on set, and everybody was talking, and I think it was a director or somebody. We're having lunch, and the director says, "Oh no, it was Toby." Well, they were talking about me, and then Toby Keith said, "Well, yeah, when I found out she did all those Red Diaries type of things, I was thinking, well, all right, we're going to shake up country music a bit." So while he was talking, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going, oh, I'm fired. I'm fired. I'm so fired. But instead, he didn't think anything was bad and just thought it was great that I was playing this kind of, attractive older woman that this younger guy was attracted to and thought that he would have a chance with, but it turns out it was all in his daydreams. So yeah, that's my story and sticking to
Yes.
it.
We have a question here, but I want to ask you, I have this type of question, like inside the actor studio question,
Okay.
do you have a dream project you would like to realize in the future? Mhm.
Yes.
Well,
I'm
yes,
making you flip.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
This is
Uh-huh.
Rescue Heart.
Yes,
It is a book that I wrote, and it
yes.
is an award-winning screenplay,
Uh-huh.
and it is the most amazing story about
Yes,
a young Native American woman who
Uh.
is with an abusive drug dealer guy, and he
Uh-huh.
decides he's into dogfighting and things like that. Well,
Yes,
she sees that she just gets to the point she just can't take it. And in the middle of the night, or actually early morning, she escapes his compound and risks her life and goes in and takes his fighting dog. It's a beautiful German Shepherd fighting dog in the story mix.
yes,
And she goes on the run with this dog that's a fighting dog and almost bites her hand off half the time. And it's their journey together, healing themselves from abuse. And it becomes very, very touching and very, very sweet. And she steals one of her drug dealer guys' trucks and goes all the way across from, right now it takes place in the kind of like Arizona area. And she comes to California and ends up, I don't want to give the movie away, but she ends up falling for a surfer. And of course her past comes back to haunt her. And it's a, fight for their life type of situation. But it's a drama, but it's a very heartwarming kind of a love story, not just with,
yes,
like the love of trying to learn how to heal from damages and find love and learn love. And it's that she and her dog end up helping each other to bond. And the dog ends up
of course.
doing anything to save her life. So it's one of those. And we have had so many interested parties that wanted to produce it. And with
Mm-hmm.
me, and I'm just hoping that one, to me, honestly, I know this sounds funny, but to me, that story is like an Academy Award story. And not that
Yes,
it has to win an Academy Award, but it's that kind of a drama. It is. A lot of people, when they read the book, they're like, wow, it's not a family dog movie. No, it isn't. It's really more about love and being a good person and faith. It's just a sweet story. Okay, so if you
you
want to
know,
read it. It's available on Amazon.
I I think it is the time is quite right for the story to come on the screen,
Yeah, yeah,
because I think at least because it has the main character is a strong female character,
yes,
you know, and
yes,
also it's been a long time since I've seen like a romantic film, that touches you. It's been a long time. We've seen some stuff like Love Story or
yeah.
uh,
This ends up
yeah.
being
Hmm.
quite the love story, and I'm sort of giving away too much, but the dog becomes so connected with her that he becomes like he can sense bad person or good person, and he
Yes,
ends up liking this one. He also likes this one surfer who ends up being kind of a good guy, and
yes.
it's really, really sweet. Now the book is ending. If anybody wants to read the book, it's different than the movie version. I have to tell you that the
Uh-huh.
movie version is got a happy ending.
Yes,
Book
we
has
need
more of
that.
like a novel type of ending, but
Yes,
both are very, very touching, and it's definitely the meaning of love. So yeah, that is my heart project. I'll just put it out
great.
there. Then, but I am planning on I have another film that's in filming. We'll plan on
Yes,
filming, I guess, in October.
yes,
That is a family film. The working title is Gambler's Choice, but I think it might be Caitlin's Chance. It's about a young jumper rider, and she gets hurt, and the movie is about her struggles to get back up on a horse and be able to ride in a big competition called the Gambler's Choice. And
great.
it ends up helping to save her farm and everything. It's a very kind of classic family movie. And it's easy for me to write because of my background with horses and whatnot. And it's got a kind of a little bit of a modern Western feel to it.
Yes,
So that one is supposed to shoot. I'm not directing that one. My good friend Ben Jummery is directing that one. He optioned it from me. And I am a producer on that. So I'm going to go be with him. Right now we're planning on shooting in Kentucky unless something changes. The only holdup for that particular movie is the strike. We are an independent film, which means that we can still shoot as long as we have all our waiver paperwork done with SAG. And Ben is handling that. He said he's already done the paperwork, but it's taken a little while to get it back. And so hopefully when the SAG is done, that film will be going mid-August. I was going to say mid-August, mid-October, sorry. Yeah.
yes,
October. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So
We have
I'm
two
fortunate
questions. Yeah.
What?
We have two questions here because everybody's staying on the live, so
Oh, I'm glad. Okay, so this is a question here. What movies you like directing the most? Drama, romance, action, or sci-fi thriller? That's a good question. I like movies that have a good story and that I can really dig into. And so far, to be lucky, I've like Voyager 2150 is a sci-fi, and that actually has a really interesting story. So I enjoyed that. I think I like them all, to answer your question. I like all of them as long as the story is interesting. And I love directing Seance games, Metaxu, because like I say, the actors were terrific. They all worked really, really hard, and they rehearsed with me and things like that, which was absolutely fabulous. The dedication was really wonderful. And then because of that, because even though we're a lower budget independent film, and we were working on, like, we had to get a lot done and a lot shot in one day, the actors were so prepared that we could honestly, while we were filming, just only work on nuances and little bits and emotions and things like that. So I think I just like working with good actors and good story. And yeah. Like I said, you can see them a little bit up there. Right. There they are. Oh, Ross Hagen. Yes. Oh boy, I love him so much. What movie did we do? God, and this is like embarrassing when you've been working so long as I have. It's like, what movie did we do together? No, he killed me. That's right. He shot me. What's the name of the movie? This is terrible. Anyways, I played a killer. And Ross Hagen played the role, and he was in a wheelchair. He didn't need to be in a wheelchair, but he played it in a wheelchair. It was quite brilliant. Kind of reminded me of Ironside. And he ends up saving the day by killing me, the killer. He's a really good guy, like a solid actor, again, being in the business as long as I run and being around my father too. There's actors that are really take their craft seriously and study and want to know their lines and be there on time and do a great job. And those are the type of actors that I love to be around. Like Ross was wonderful. And like, again,
yes.
all my actors were terrific on my movie too. So they're really good. Any more questions?
Not yet.
Come on.
Tane, I want to thank you very much for coming to the live. And best wishes for Seance Games and all your upcoming projects. I hope you successfully realize your upcoming projects and transforming the novel into a new film and the screenplay. I think we are in need of such films right now. And I hope we can attend someday the premiere of your film in the United States as well.
Well, if you're in, we have a couple film festival screenings coming up other than this one.
Great.
And then you just message me and I'll see if I can get you in VIP.
Of course.
But
of
then
course.
again, I think the film probably won't be actually released with distributors. So the distributors we're talking to, it won't be like it'll be 2024. You know how long it takes to get these movies out. But like I say, the movie looks really good. And if you guys want to look at the trailers and things like that, this will be a pitch real quick.
Sure.
Go to seancegamesmetaxu.com, or you can probably just Google Seance Games Metaxu, METAXU. And
Yes.
you'll get to that website right there that keeps playing there's a longer promo trailer. And there's
Yes.
all kinds of information on that. And in fact, if you go, we even have a forum and we talk about how the film was made and some fun behind the scenes.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you very much again, and I wish you all the best. We hope we can have you again when you have the new projects
Yes.
coming up and coming. For sure.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Tane.
All right.
Have a lovely Sunday. Take care.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.